standing on the rooftop, smoking, was always the best way for me to relieve stress from my alpha duties. However, I never imagined that I would find myself in this spot, contemplating my thoughts about a human being, my mate. It's hard to believe that I am somehow affected by someone I despise. The more I dislike her, the more she occupies my mind. The cool air wrapped around me as I took another drag from my cigarette, the tendrils of smoke swirling around my head. In the silence of the rooftop, I could finally let my guard down and allow my thoughts to roam freely. But tonight, my thoughts were consumed by her. The last words she'd said to me after finding her on the phone. I can't get them out of my mind. The way she looked at me when Benita touched me. It made me feel like I was betraying her. It was so disturbing that I left the room like a coward, leaving her alone with Benita, who I know won't leave her alone without leaving a scratch on her. I might be losing my mind now. I took another long drag from my cigarette, the bitter taste mingling with my conflicted thoughts. It was frustrating. I was losing my mind. I had spent my whole life without a mate. It was excruciating to constantly pursue a mate, only to end up rejecting them. Why didn't any of the mates I rejected have the courage to fight against the overwhelming aura of rejection, yet they were wolves? Why did it have to be this human? What was it about her that made her overpower it? Ralph. I looked around as Isabella called my name. Son, let's have a serious conversation about that girl, she said as reached me. No thank you, I replied curtly, turning away, exhaling a cloud of cigar smoke. The entire pack now knows that she's your mate, she said, and then posed for a minute before continuing. Zach left a while ago, which suggests he went to the council to inform them about the news. Do you know what that means? They're going to kill her. That girl is now part of werewolves. She is part of you, Ralph. Her going back to her family is useless. They'll end up finding her. I puffed out the smoke and smashed the finished cigarette. I turned to her. Isabella, does it look like I give a shit? Whether she dies or not, it's none of my concern. Whatever decision the council comes up with towards her, I am dearly down to it. They'd be doing me a great favor, I said to her and turned to leave. Ralph, she called, stopping me in my trucks. Ralph, understand that there is no other chance for you to find another mate. If you don't deal with this situation within 5 months, you will also become human. If that happens even, the pack you fought so hard to protect for the past 29 years will not support you once they know what you have become. I clenched my jaw, my blood boiling at her words. Slowly, she drew near to me and held my hand. I understand that you may not want to hear this, but please consider before giving her over to the council. I truly believe there must be a reason why you were paired with that human girl as your mate. I know it will be difficult for you, but please give it a chance and get to know her first. Not all humans are alike. As her words lingered in the air, I struggled to contain my anger. How could she expect me to play good to that human? The very thought of it made my blood boil even more. But as she held my hand, her touch brought a sense of calmness amidst the storm of emotions raging within me. I clenched my jaw tightly, trying to find the right words to express my frustration. You don't understand, I finally managed to say through gritted teeth. She's reckless, impulsive, and completely ignorant of our ways. How could you possibly believe that I stood a chance with her? In all people, Isabella, you shouldn't be telling me to get to know her. I'm the alpha. I don't want to be reckless as my mom was with Josh. I love and respect you, Isabella, a lot, but I don't see myself doing what you are asking me to. Isabella sighed softly, her eyes filled with empathy. I know it's not easy, but sometimes we need to look beyond our initial judgments. There might be more to her than meets the eye. It's not a coincidence that fate brought the two of you together. I scoffed, shaking my head in disbelief. Fate? It's nothing more than a cruel joke. She doesn't belong in our world. None of the humans do. She'll never understand the responsibilities and sacrifices we make to maintain the balance. Her grip on my hand tightened, her voice filled with earnestness. But you don't know her yet to decide just because she's human. There might be qualities within her that you've yet to discover. I exhaled sharply, feeling torn between my anger and her plea. The conflict within me intensified, the battle between logic and emotion raging on. The idea of sitting on the same table with her seems unfathomable. Slowly, I released my clenched jaw, allowing myself a moment of reflection. With a heavy heart, I turned to Isabella, searching her eyes for any sign of reassurance. "I will consider your words," I told her, my voice laced with uncertainty. "But know that this decision weighs heavily on me. I can't promise anything, but I will try to see beyond my anger and try to see her as my mate." Isabella smiled, a glimmer of hope shining in her gaze. "That's all I ask," she replied softly. "Sometimes the greatest transformations come from the most unexpected sources. Keep an open mind, and who knows what you might become with the half of your soul next to you." My phone buzzed in my pocket and I quickly retrieved it. "You were right," I said to Isabella as I read the message that had come through. "What is it?" she asked, sounding concerned. "Zach went to the council. They want me there tomorrow, along with the human," I replied. "But I had already promised the girl that she would be going back home," Isabella said, her voice filled with concern. "It seems like we'll have to cancel those plans," I replied firmly as I walked past her and entered the house. Isabella followed suit. "I can't do that, Ralph," she pleaded. "At least let her stay with her family tonight. I'm worried that if we don't, she may never get the chance to see them again." I stopped walking and turned around, staring at her. "I don't get it. Why are you so drawn into that human, Isabella?" I asked. "This is not like you, Isabella. Because I'm the reason she's tangled in this mess. And I like her. She's a good woman. I feel it. And because she's your... Don't say it." I graved, cutting her off. "Go get some rest. I'll do what you want and take her myself. No more lectures." I stopped her as she was about to reply to my comment. "I'll let Dahlia take her in the car," I said, and walked away, heading to my room. "I hope it's not another trick of hurting her again," my wolf said, breaking the silence. "I'm sorry for hurting you. I promise to refrain from the hate in me toward her," I replied. When I reached my room, her scent enclosed me. I breathed in and out like I was entering a battlefield. As I opened the door, my gaze fell upon her. She stared back at me, her eyes wide with surprise. Startled, she stumbled backwards and landed down on her ass, dropping shards of glass from her trembling hands. The fear in her eyes was palpable, as if she believed I could bury her alive in an instant. The terror in her eyes caused my heart to ache profoundly, so intense that I felt compelled to rush towards her, wrap her in my arms, and alleviate her fear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break it. Please don't kill me," she stammered, expressing her deepest fear. I was just shocked to see the woman She went quiet, darting around the messed-up, dirty room. In a sudden way, my heart ached for her. I couldn't bear watching her tremble because of me. The weight was too heavy to bear. I found myself dragging myself towards her. "Get up," I ordered firmly. She hesitated. I could feel her heart pounding and her pulse racing. I repeated my command, raising my tone, but still she hesitated, expressing fear. Crouching down, I compelled her on her feet before pulling her in my arms into a tight, warm hug.